Thank you so much for attending my presentation about why Hisuian Arcanine is Incineroar's little brother, and first let's actually look at what Incineroar does so well. This is the best Pokemon in VGC history straight up. Intimidate is a wonderful ability, lowering the attack of both opposing Pokemon on switch-in. This is a massive problem for physical attackers. Getting your damage output cut drastically whenever a certain Pokemon switches in isn't easy to handle. On its own, Intimidate would give Incineroar promise, but it is way more. Fake Out is crazy support, only working on your first turn on the field but being a guaranteed flinch on whatever it hits. Clicking Fake Out gives your partner valuable time to do whatever it wants, whether that's switching out, setting up, or just attacking. Finally, with Parting Shot, it can easily leave the field while lowering both of the opponent's attacking stats by a stage and letting something else come in safely. All of this combined with its strong stats and defensive typing is a problem. Intimidate, Fake Out, Parting Shot, Repeat is extremely common, constantly slowing down enemy Pokemon, slow pivoting out, and keeping your team safe. Even on the offensive side, it isn't bad. While it is a bit slow, both Knockoff and Flare Blitz are capable of tons of damage, the former even gets rid of your item, but what if you want more? Well, that's where you'd turn to the other viable Fire-type Intimidator, Hisuian Arcanine. At first, it probably doesn't look that much better. It has the same attacking stat, Rock is a worse defensive typing than Dark, it's more frail, and it loses Fake Out, Knockoff, and Parting Shot, so what makes it worth using? Surprisingly, the answer is 30 speed points. Going from 60 to 90 isn't the craziest jump in the world, but in the slower Regulation H format, it's a massive deal. This lets it keep the Intimidate role while threatening immense damage on faster Pokemon. A great example of this is Dragonite. This Pokemon is horrible to deal with. It is crazy bulk, deals a ton of damage with Scale Shot, and the multi-scale ability can keep it healthy for longer. However, with access to fast stab rock moves and Intimidate, Arcanine can both switch in against it and actually click something super effective before the dragon can move. This is a big deal, but isn't only important for Dragonite. Gholdengo, Rillaboom, Incineroar, Pelipper, Volcarona, and more are all actually susceptible to these powerful fire and rock moves and can be knocked out before they can move. Of course, the drawback of less defensive utility is a massive one, but with Intimidate and still serviceable stats, it can offer some support while dishing out fast damage. And so what sets does Hisuian Arcanine actually run? First, Flare Blitz and Rock Slide are basically mandatory. You're running this Pokemon for the damage and these are its strongest moves. It does have some room for coverage though. Extreme Speed is an enticing option, having good damage output but notably being priority. Sniping Pokemon at low health before they can move, like the common Focus Sash Sneasler, is extremely powerful. This can also pair with Terra Normal to make it a pseudo Dragonite, but to be honest, that's really niche and doesn't get much play. Close Combat is the other commonly seen choice, hitting a ton of annoying normal and fighting types. The Ursalunas and Archaludon are both monsters that are also pretty strong against Incineroar. Being able to turn the tables on them and click a 120 base power super effective move can completely swing a matchup. Even a move like Psychic Fangs gets a little play, not being very powerful but breaking screens, and with Alola Ninetales being everywhere, that is a massive deal. For items, the overwhelming choice is Clear Amulet, which completely stops opposing stat drops and lets it keep its offensive power no matter what. Makes sense. Less normal is the Mirror Herb, which is a niche item that only really sees play on faster Intimidate users. This item, when an opponent receives a stat boost, will give you that same stat boost. Against Defiant Pokemon that normally take advantage of Intimidate to boost their attack, you can basically give yourself a Swords Dance for free. Then, for Terra types, you do normally go defensive with Water Scene most often and Ghost on some sets without Protect to get around Fake Out. While you are of course trying to deal damage, being able to tank one big move is still invaluable. In the two regionals that have happened in Regulation H 2.0, Hisuian Arcanine has already gotten two top 4 performances. The first was at the Monterey Regionals off the back of Justin Tang. This team, that we also saw at the Toronto Regionals last year, is centered around getting Gholdengo set up and dealing big damage. Arcanine is a great secondary attacker, taking heavy advantage of Sneasler's coaching, and with Intimidate plus Aurora Veil is a nightmare to take down. It's not the center of the team, but plays a valuable role both to minimize incoming damage into Gholdengo and to be an attacking threat. The second placement was more out there, with David Carrere running the Mirror Herb set on a fascinating hyper-offense team in Frankfurt. Once again, it makes a lot of sense. Defiant Annihilate in particular is a massive problem for this team, as it can hit everything else besides the physically frail Sneasler for super effective damage. Thus, Mirror Herb Arcanine allows this team to actually play around this problem while having some form of Intimidate support. Incineroar would not work here, you'd need the speed to actually run Mirror Herb effectively. These two teams would get a few other placements as well, with Roberto Parente snacking 17th in Frankfurt and Sol Morones getting 31st at Monterey. Is it breaking the meta open entirely? No, but it's still a serious threat to watch out for in the future. In conclusion, while Incineroar maintains its much higher usage, Hisuian Arcanine has carved out a nice niche for itself. With both the valuable Intimidate ability to support its team and the stats to collect strong, fast moves, it's a serious threat to many meta Pokemon right now. Be sure to give it a try, and thank you so much for watching.